welcome back to the Cover 3 podcast here on CBS Sports. That's Bud Elliott. That's Danny Cannell. That's Tom Fornelli. I'm Chip Patterson coming to you live at youtube.com/cover3 and all the different places that you can get your podcast on demand. Thanks for hanging out. The place is buzzing. The place is jumping. Smash the subscribe. Smash the like. A bunch of y'all are hanging out live with us. Come and jump in the chat. Go ahead and get the conversation going with your locks. I'm already seeing a lot of love. A lot of your favorite picks. The conversation is going to keep going. This is the first of so many Thursdays at 11 a.m. Eastern time. We're going to come with you. So yes, week 0 locks coming up in just a little bit. Now, how many locks could we possibly have for a 7-game slate? Is the answer 8? It could be. Yes, 100% it could be, but you'll have to hang around to find out for that. We'll begin with a little bit of news from the last day and a half, really, or even yesterday afternoon. This thing really picked up steam. I'm wearing my ACC Digital Network shirt right now, repping the D, because that's a time of the yesteryear. The ACC, as we knew it, might be undergoing a little bit of a facelift. Reports from all across the place indicate that the conversations about adding not just Cal and Stanford, but additionally SMU seem to really be picking up. I saw Ross Dellinger included some of the financial details of this, which would be that ESPN would be willing to increase the sum of money that's paid out to the conference by about $70 million approximately, and approximately $55 million of that would be in a pool that could be dispersed to the existing members. That is because reportedly SMU is willing to take 0 shares of media rights for 7 years. And that when Cal and Stanford are willing to take a reduced share for some time as well, I assume that would increase. But do the quick math on that. That's like $7.5 million each for both of those schools. I saw our friend Richard Johnson. He's all sourced up, and he's got a story on this over on Sports Illustrated. And the way that he simplified it is, it is not so much as adding Cal or Stanford as buying Florida State and Clemson. So let's go to our resident Noel here. Number one, Bud, thoughts on the potential movement, which honestly could happen in the next 2 days. And number two, do you think that this creates a financial environment which is going to placate some of the concerns of Florida State?
I mean, everybody was laughing about Florida State financing its way out of the conference, but are we gonna have to rename this to the Persian Gulf Conference, like the ACC kind of financing, keeping the Noles and Clemson there? That's a Saudi Noles deep cut joke. If you're just welcome, just the Locks pod, we'll get to the Locks in a second. Look, any more amount of money I think helps, but what I was reading last night is that they're still going to distribute it pretty equally to the members, which Florida State, this is not my opinion, literally the athletic director laid it out. Like, they do 7 or 8x the ratings of like the bottom third of the teams if you isolate for school. So they want part of the performance to be your TV performance, like the thing you get paid on, which is your TV ratings. They want that to be more like how it is distributed. But they're recruiting really well right now, top 5 class. They're a contender to make the playoff, I guess, and they'll do well in the performance, I would think, but I don't know if it's enough to keep them long-term, but maybe for a couple more years. Yeah.
What do you think?
Band-Aid, temporary Band-Aid.
Yeah.
I also think so there have been 4 schools that have been holding out. Is that what you guys have heard? As far as the numbers, they need 12 votes. So they're at 11. And so they need one of these schools to flip. I think NC State's going to be the school that flips. It gets this one to go that direction. The names that are reporting this makes it feel inevitable. The fact that we haven't had a vote and we're probably going to get one tells you it probably is going to go through. I think it's a temporary fix. I also think it's protection for the ACC if Florida State, Clemson leave, because you still have, I think there's there's a lot of concern that the ACC could fall by the way of the Pac-12. Like, what happens if we all of a sudden are a ACC 8 or 6, or you see the conference pilfered once Florida State and anybody else decides to leave. So I think this is some protection, in case Florida State leaves or anybody else leaves as well. But I think it's a temporary Band-Aid, much like everything else. This just kind of kicks the can down the road a little bit further until there's a better solution, if any solution at all.
It's not even a Band-Aid. What the hell does adding Stanford and Cal do for the ACC?
Well, nothing but the money. The money's the temporary Band-Aid. The Cal Stanford does nothing.
But I mean, here's the thing, though. Why is the Pac-12, when it's still 12 schools, worth nothing to Fox and ESPN, but you break them off and add them to other conferences, and suddenly that school's worth money now? Like, you didn't want to pay for Stanford and Cal when they were playing against Oregon State and Washington State, but now you want to pay for them to play Wake Forest? It doesn't make any damn sense.
I disagree. I think it's crazy, but I think I can make some sense of it. I don't think ESPN and Fox wanted that much inventory because they really are only valuing the very, very best of games and like the very top of the brands. Like, it's clear they're basically telegraphing, we don't care about good games. We only care about great games. We all hear like there's that certain ratings threshold, but the ability to put a Miami, Clemson, Florida State, or North Carolina in prime time a couple times a year in that late night TV slot is probably worth something.
But that's not a great game. Stanford and North Carolina is not a great game.
It's a great brand in a standalone time slot.
But you said they don't want the inventory. They've literally bought, if this happens, they've bought 10 of the 12 teams that were in the league. They're paying for all the same inventory they could have just bought. It's stupid. It is just dumb TV executive brainwashing. That's all that's happening here.
Oh, I don't think it's a great idea for the long term, for sure.
So one thing that I try to do is seek out the sell, because my initial reaction is gross, yuck. I don't like any of this. And so I've tried to seek out the real arguments there. And I'm not positive that it's all going to go evenly, because the success initiatives, it sounds like this month they said any new money might be part of the success initiative. So I don't want to get too deep into that until, the league starts to get there. But I think that when you look at the Olympic sports, an argument that I have heard from people who are supportive of it is that men's soccer and women's soccer, for example, only play like an 8 or 9 game conference schedule anyway. They already play a national schedule. They already, some of these Olympic sports in the ACC are already flying across the country to play literally non-conference games against Stanford. And that, they aren't regionalizing right now. So what's the difference of adding them to the picture? Okay, I guess. And then they start to, spin it out, and they keep talking it out. They're like, well, we're in a place where, we want to make sure that we have, like you're mentioning, like the real strength in numbers. And there might be a long-term advantage to us being able to lean on that. And I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, Florida State and Clemson leave. But I still come back to the idea that it is just the total loss of identity. And maybe that happened in 2004 when they went and did the first raid of the Big East. Or maybe it happened in the early 2010s when they did the second raid of the Big East. But the Cal and Stanford and SMU additions is just like that is professionalization of the ACC. And so I'm, as a fan, I don't like it, but I understand why university presidents are voting for it if they think that it's going to be able to create some stability, some longevity, and be able to, pave a path into the future where the ACC gets a seat at the table when the SEC and the Big Ten set the rules for who gets to sit at the table.
Yeah, we've already seen this happen. By the way, did you see your boy Anson Dorrance at UNC? What he
Dorrance.
said? Anson Dorrance. Yeah. So I actually talked to him when I was in Chapel Hill when my daughter was at soccer camp for a few minutes. We were just talking about sports. He said I'd prefer if they let Stanford and Cal die on the vine. Like, he's like, it'll kill us in recruiting, because I remember him talking about recruiting the West Coast when he was out there. He walked it back and clarified he wants to do what's best for the ACC. But I think that's a mentality that most coaches have, but they don't have much say.
So do we think it happens?
Yeah, it's the stupidest possible outcome. Of course it's going to happen.
All right, let's move on to, dude, I feel so bad. We've got hundreds of people waiting for these locks, but it's something that's happening. All right, Maason Smith.
Did hundreds of them hit like yet?
Ooh, Bud's calling you out.
He ain't giving you those locks until you do.
I'll talk injuries all day till we get these likes up. What are we at?
Everything coming up Florida State here in 2023. LSU defensive tackle Maason Smith, who missed last season because of an ACL injury, must serve a 1-game suspension. Daggum, it's the Florida State game, the biggest non-conference game on the schedule all year. And one of the most important defensive players for LSU is going to be out. According to reports, there was an autograph signing event, and this is dumb, in my opinion, because he can't.
It's so dumb, Maason Smith joining the ACC.
Like he missed all of last year, so they wouldn't let him serve a one-game suspension because he was not healthy. So therefore, he has to serve it when he's healthy. Tom, WTF, man? What's this?
It's just the NCAA justifying its existence somehow, and they have no real way to do it. So they're punishing a kid for something that's perfectly legal now, just because. Why not? Screw it. We're the NCAA. We got to do something. It's the dumbest thing ever. But it's in line with what they do.
Agreed.
Especially for a game this
autographs?
Big. Like, if you want to suspend him, do it for who are they playing? McNeese State? Just do it then. Why are you suspending him for one of the biggest games of the first full weekend of the year? It's ridiculous.
Let the kid appeal and then drop the appeal and sit out against Grambling.
And then, because the NCAA is also coming out and saying, well, even though in the NIL era, this would be legal because it was pre-NIL, he must serve a one-game suspension.
The NCAA cannot do anything to get out of their own way. I really was hoping with new leadership, you might see some olive branches extended to try to separate themselves from the past reputation they built up into maybe a new era. And if anything, you've seen Charlie Baker double down and the NCAA double down on the stupid policies that they've had historically. It's like if you had a poll out there and just said, what's your perception of the NCAA? Is it good or bad? Wouldn't it be like 90-something% bad? It would be a negative perception of the NCAA. And they could easily, right. I mean, it's ridiculous that they can't see how foolish they look and how powerless they look. So I do think this is sort of a power move because everyone knows that teams are legally cheating by having pay for play with NIL. And yet that's the one thing that the NCAA doesn't want to see happen, but they can't do anything. All the agents and collectives are daring them like, what are you going to do? Are you going to sue us? And they're all like, you're not going to win in court. So they keep doing it. And the NCAA goes back retroactively to try to find something where they can still kind of puff out their chest. I don't know. It's just weak. And I hate it because it's a game of the opening weekend.
And like Florida State's offensive line is good and LSU's defensive line is good. And I want both of those groups to be like 100%. It's a standalone game. Like I want to see.
They're also holding out Daryl Jackson for this double transfer waiver bullshit, BS, right? Like if they want scoring, I guess they're achieving their goal, right? Like maybe they're colluding with ESPN or something like that, right? To hold these good D tackles out.
Shout out to the GOAT Cover 3 film room. Maason Smith is suspended for Harbaugh's sins. He's really jumping on that. Real justice there. Matt, Knowles plus 2.5. Is that what we do? We just throw it on the money line? Is this?
By the way, it hasn't moved the line at all.
No,
defensive tackle's not going to move it.
Right. I watched it last night. The over went up a half point. The side didn't move. Like if it was sitting 3 with like heavy juice to FSU side, there's some chance that maybe it gets knocked down to like 2 with juice to the other, or 2.5 with juice to the other direction. But like Maason Smith's a guy who's coming off an ACL, who's already been banged up in camp. I've been kind of trying to read between the lines a little bit here. And yes, if you're Florida State, I do think this makes the game a little bit easier because there is absolutely a chance, maybe not a high chance, but a chance that he just plays to his top 10 pick potential and ragdolls your center, who's a little undersized and a good college player. But like Maason Smith, his ceiling might be like, Jalen Carter-ish. So if you're FSU, clearly it is an advantage, just as for LSU, it's an advantage not to have Daryl Jackson. But it's not a quarterback. It's not a guy who projected to play 60 or 70 snaps in the game. It's not going to move the line much, if at all.
Yeah.
It'll drive some chat rooms if they lose.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, no. Oh, let's game this out too far. You got to see that first loss to Florida State. LSU needs to be higher in the college football playoff rankings because they didn't have Maason Smith. You got to take it into consideration. You got to take it into consideration. I'm not sure that you're going to have the same. Never mind. This is not a suspension. Out for the year. Georgia running back Branson Robinson out for the year. Not great when one of the storylines coming out of Georgia's fall camp has been trying to figure out the running back depth and the running back rotation. Clearly, we have one of the best offensive lines in the SEC. Tom, were you looking at Robinson as playing a significant role there, or do you believe that whether it's with Milton or the rest of that room, Georgia should still be okay?
It's the injury sucks. Like, you don't want to take a hit to your depth at any spot before the season even begins. But again, even though it's more important at the college level, I'm never going to be too concerned about a running back injury, especially for a team that's as talented as Georgia. Like, they'll be able to fill the spot and they'll be able to fill the hole. So it sucks. It's not good, but they should be just fine.
Same.
Yeah, totally agree.
Right.
I mean, you hate it for
somebody's going to be back. Sorry, Dan, go ahead.
No, I totally agree with Tom. I mean, by position alone, unless it's a Bijan Robinson type player who's just otherworldly talent that really is the focal point of your offense, I don't think it's that significant. You hate it for the player. You hate it for the individual who has to go through a grueling rehab, but it's not that big a deal, I don't think.
Yeah, for him, somebody like, unfortunately, I've got intimate knowledge of all of the backups for Georgia. I don't know. Maybe it's because they played 2 quarters in a national championship game while all the starters were stealing food from the luxury lounges on the side. And Branson Robinson ran hard. I made a little note in my notebook at the end of that game that he might be a fun one to watch, but clearly not going to be the case. Something for Georgia to look at as they continue to get ready for their season opener. Coming up on the other side, I can't keep the people back anymore. They have broken through the doors. They want the locks, so we'll give them to you next.
Driving into the stadium, seeing everybody tailgating, I get that ready to go feeling.
You know, to walk through the fan section over there and see that many people excited about football, so I'm really looking forward to it.
You get away from football for a little bit and then you start missing and you get that itch again.
For me, that first catch is everything. Once I get one catch, I'm in the zone.
Getting back to football.
It's been too long.
We can't wait.
Can't wait.
We can't wait.
We can't wait.
Back here on the Cover 3 podcast, and we have on the week 0 slate 7 games. It includes 2 top 25 teams, a couple more Power 5 teams, and a wagon. So I ask, gentlemen, y'all ready to lock it up?
Yep.
Let's do it.
Since 2005, the under in games between service academies is 40-9-1.
Give me an over in this one as well. A little 2-for-1 special.
I was in sicko last week. Y'all were watching videos. I was live betting the hell out of UL in Kentucky.
My Blue Plate special 5-star locks are coming.
5-star master lock. Lock it up. These locks.
I'm living and dying every point, every coverage.
All right, bud. You've got the honors on the tee box. And I'm going to just say, because a lot of people here are going to, we got people who want the headliners. Got any play for Notre Dame-Navy?
Yeah. And
yes, perfect.
Man, if you could get some brownie points, right? With the wife, be like telling her, hey, babe, I know college football starts today, but I love you so much. Let's go do some farmer's market. Or you could get with me on this sicko mode play. Chip, music.
All right.
Go. Just right on the
Sicko mode. Let's go. I'm a little bit lower on some of the teams in the bottom of the Sun Belt. If things go wrong, they could be like UMass, UConn. That's kind of like sicko mode of a sicko mode.
All right, so I read Irish Illustrated every day. That is our 24/7 sports board. They do a tremendous job. They have been telling me, I read all the reports, I listen to all the pods, that the interior defensive line for Notre Dame is much better. We got the new clock rules in place. We'll see how much that affects games. I know my friend Bill Connolly thinks it's about 5% reduction in scoring since the clock will run after first downs. Obviously not if it goes out of bounds, not within the last 2 minutes of the half. But I'm going to go with some mean median deviation here. First, Yeah. So where like the median outcome is actually different than the mean outcome here. Let's start off just completely sick. Under 0.5 points for Navy in the first quarter in Ireland. I'm betting on Notre Dame's defense to shut out Navy in the first quarter. Let's freaking go. I was gonna save it, but like we already made
just unload it. Just unload it early.
Oh,
that is perfect.
We are off and running. We're back, baby.
Anybody lock agreement?
No.
Did anybody have that one on the board early?
No, I did not. Oh.
I respect it, but I'm not going to tail it. I will be glued to that one for you, bud. And I'm not rooting against you, even though we are in a competition, but I do want it to get testy, right? Like I do want to see Notre Dame get to like the 40 and just to see what the clock's going to be doing. But I like it. Notre Dame under.
No, Navy.
No, Navy under.
Navy.
Definitely not Notre Dame under.
Navy under 0.5 points in the first quarter. Betting on a shutout for the mids in Ireland.
That works great for me because similarly thinking, I do think Navy's going to struggle offensively. I also think you could see Notre Dame sputter a little bit early in this game. I'm going to go first half under 26 for the total. I think you'll see. Navy's going with their defensive coordinator, defensive-minded guy. You haven't seen some of the looks, I'm sure. So I think they'll be able to slow them down somewhat. Sam Hartman taking over. I think you can see some continuity issues. Gerard Parker's never called plays before. Like, I think you could just see that kind of first game ironing out, kind of getting some of the kinks out, timing, rhythm. I think they'll lean on them. I think they'll run the ball. And I think that clock will be running. So I'll go first half under. And I do think Navy could struggle to score at all. So lower scoring first half.
So I like better than 26.5 to 27, which
even better.
2 books have.
Find that for me.
Yeah, but
let's go.
Chris has it. If we're cool with books that take, what's the limit here?
We're
setting up $100.
We want this year. Yeah.
Okay.
I love that the first 2 flocks of the season are a first quarter play and a first half play. But I'm going to go basic bitch. Although it's in line with what you're both doing. Give me Notre Dame minus 20.5 for a lot of the same reasons you guys are using to justify your picks. I just don't know that Navy's going to be able to score points in this matchup, nor do I think that they're going to be able to get a whole lot of stops because while Sam Hartman has been the focal point of the changes on Notre Dame's offense during the offseason, I mean, we've talked about it. We think they're better at the receiver position. They have one of the best offensive lines in the country. And with Hartman giving them more of a dynamic offense, I look at this Navy defense like, yeah, Navy kept the game close last year because Notre Dame couldn't throw the damn ball. Notre Dame's going to be able to throw the ball this year. Notre Dame's going to be able to pick apart this Navy secondary. They're bigger, they're stronger, they're faster. Give me Notre Dame minus 20.5.
So glad to see Michael showed up today for all of the glowing praise that we are giving Notre Dame here in this in the opening of this week 0 locks pod. I do not have a lock for this game, but I'm glad that we've got some cheddar on the board already. I'm going to take us to USC, San Jose State. Thankfully, as you all know, I've got 8 different Pac-12 networks. This is going to be a really hard game for a lot of people to find. I might just watch it in multiple streams with multiple screens just to flaunt it and enjoy the final season of the Pac-12 network. But I'll tell you the one thing, like my starting position when trying to handicap USC San Jose State is that you do not by any means want to be wagering on the backups for USC's defense. The last thing in this world that you want to do is to be trusting the backups on that defensive side of the ball against a Brent Brennan coach San Jose State team that was one of the best passing offenses in the Mountain West last year. And if you think that with that in-state sort of aspect to it, they're not going to be trying to put on some points late, well, I mean, you and I are not in agreement. However, I do think that if Lincoln Riley had it his way, they're going to go out there, they're going to get Caleb a couple touchdowns, and then we're going to put him in bubble wrap because that's how you survive a season and get him all the way through is by limiting his exposures. So let's go USC first half. I got it minus 16.5. And I really like being able to get that under 17. So I'm going to go USC first half, minus 16.5. Start fast, get Caleb on the bench. And again, number one, do not trust the backups for USC's defense to get you a cover.
I'm the only full game better here.
I've got
halves and quarters over going on.
These lines have been out for 8 weeks. Like I mean, we just think there's stuff to cherry pick. The derivatives came out like yesterday. So this is...
I've got 3 full games.
You've dropped median. You've dropped derivatives. Like, what's going on here?
And mean. Look at that. I'm take the SAT over again.
If you hit the mode, we get the bingo.
All right. I would love. Yeah. I love 16.5. Is that still available anywhere?
I thought I had it at FanDuel.
Okay.
Let me see.
Let's see.
I'm not trying to call BS.
Whatever we find it at, I'm taking it because I had it at 18.5 earlier and I was jumping on it. So
I don't see it at 16.5
17
anymore.
Somewhere around there. I'm in it. Same line of thinking. You do not want to risk Caleb Williams. You're sharper. You want to get in. You want to get out. And I'm sure there's probably some incentives that you give to the starters. Hey, we reach it's like an NFL preseason game where they'll dangle some carrots out there as far as, all right, if you guys go out and take care of your business, we'll get you out of the game. I think they'll do that. I think they come out hot. Give me that all day long. Lay the points.
Best I can find is 18.
18?
Yeah, it's minus 150 at FanDuel. It looks like they're basically giving like an implied buy price on it. That's I don't think we can take 150 on the spread.
Okay.
There's 17.5s out there.
That's fine.
I'll still take a 17.5. Yeah. Play the music.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a minus 150. Yuck.
I was like, yeah. Otherwise, our chart's going to be all weird.
Okay. So the principle is still there, but we're taking this at 17.5. I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
I mean, 21, nothing, like 3 touchdowns. We go get 3 touchdowns on first 4 possessions and go ahead and put them at a distance.
100%. So last year they did have one of the better passing games in Mountain West, and I think they will again once Justin Lockhart gets back for them. But Elijah Cooks is gone to the NFL, and Lockhart, I know, please Inside the Spartans is our great site that Jackson Moore does for 24/7 Sports. Sorry, yes, Inside the Spartans, of course. It's hard to remember all these site names, but I read the hell out of them, so I want to give them plugs. They do awesome work. Jackson actually drives from Fresno to San Jose to Cal and to Stanford to run 4 sites from us. That dude hustles. Like,
put him in the ACC.
Shout out Jackson. Yeah, seriously. Now he's going to be part of the ACC Twitter. Joe and they'll get him on. Anyway, Lockhart's been hurt and has not been practicing for San Jose. So that's like their top 2 receivers who are down. And I think USC will come out pretty hot on offense.
All right. I also have a play for this game. I'm not joining your lock unity, which is a first half bet. Did not have odds on that being the first unity of the year, but I'm still basic. Just give me San Jose State plus 32. I guess it's for a lot of the same reasons you guys are taking the first half play, but like I watched USC's defense last year. It was one of the worst in the country, not just in the Power 5. Like if you look at all the advanced metrics and a lot of the basic metrics, it was 120th or worse, or in just about every damn one of them. And while I expect it to be improved this year, I'm not betting on it to cover a spread this large against anybody until they prove they can do it. So give me the Spartans plus 32.
Mean, median, and sicko mode. Make it a t-shirt.
That actually I do like. That's
awesome. All right. So we've hit 2 of the biggest games. What's our action looking like for our doors? Anyone got a play there?
I do.
Okay, you go first.
I mean, I'm going to just keep this one pretty basic. Last year in week 0, Vanderbilt flew all the way across the Pacific Ocean to Honolulu, Hawaii, landed, showed up, and beat the Warriors by 53 points. Now Hawaii's got to make the trip all the way across the ocean, all the way across the Rockies into the construction zone in Nashville at Vanderbilt. And they're only 17.5-point dogs to the team that beat them by 50+ last year. A team that's better this year than it was last year. Come on. Vandy minus 17.5. This is ridiculous.
Did you know last year Hawaii was 6-1 against the spread in their last 7 games as a double-digit dog? Vanderbilt was 1-5 against the spread in their last 6 as a double-digit favorite with 2 outright losses. Vanderbilt's 3-10 against the spread at home under Clark Lee. They're 0-3 against the spread as a home favorite when they're favored by 14 points or more. Screw the trends. Lay them with the doors.
There we go. All right.
Oh,
how long do you have to go back to find a large sample set of Vandy being double-digit favorites? Like, is this back to Franklin era?
Hey, listen, shout out to the CBS research team. It doesn't get better than that.
Is that in the packet?
That's in the gambling packet.
I got to read the packet. All right.
So go ahead. I'm looking at, again, FanDuel seems to be acting wild here, but I've got Vanderbilt first half minus 9.5, minus 115.
A couple places have that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Vanderbilt first half, minus 9.5. This is going to be a problem. This is going to be a really big problem for the Bows. And then I'm also going to go Vanderbilt team total over 37.5 as well. They scored 63 last year. So, yeah, I think we can get to 40. So I like the doors with the 40 burger, and it might be a workman-like 40, since it's a construction zone out there. We'll put on your hard hats and your reflective vests. And we'll go out there and get some Will Shepherd touchdowns. So I got Vanderbilt minus 9.5 in the first half. Vanderbilt team total 37.5.
So I think agreement on that first half.
Oh,
okay.
Oh, wow.
Sweet.
I just want to say something I think we should address at this point. For the season, what's the limit on the juice we want to do for picks we can use on this show? Because, obviously, we already decided the minus 150 for the 16.5 was too much. Let's leave it up to our listeners in the chat. Jordan, put up a poll. What's the most juice we could have on a pick for it to count for a lock spot? Is it 120, 130? What do they think?
I think it should be just my vote. I know a listener. I think it should be not full buying a point. You know what I'm saying?
What does that mean? I
don't mind 120 stuff. I don't mind 120. Not if you're peppering every pick with 120, but I think when you get in that 130, 140 range, it feels kind of just we already are probably the most genuine pod because we actually keep a record. Other pods, I guarantee you lose more than we do, and they don't tell you because they don't track. It's just keeps rolling.
125 feels like it should be good, but I agree with you. When you get north of 130, that's a little excessive.
The chat is saying most people say 25 should be the limit. Yeah, I think that's probably fair.
Yeah. What were you seeing, Tom?
Oh no, I'm saying because this is at 115 as well within range for the play you just made. I'm just thinking for going forward, that's something we should keep in mind. If it's minus 150, we could share it with the listeners. Hey, we see this at minus 150 and we think it's good, but for the purposes of the competition, I think we should have a limit on it.
Well, somebody just slammed USC first half money line. I don't know if it was Danny or Tom with just laying the minus 2,000 there, but
somebody's multitasking.
I just got the major line move alert in my ear. I was like, interesting.
All right.
Oh, I have another one on Hawaii. Yeah. I want to take full game over 55.
Full game over 55. Got it.
Yeah.
With the idea that Hawaii's going to score a little bit as well.
Hawaii started doing a little bit better job with their run and shoot offense. Vanderbilt, just again, Vandy 247. Robbie does a great job over there. I think Vandy has some real goals this year, and they got some guys on the D line who have been a little banged up during camp. The secondary is still unsettled, so I think they're going to try to rotate a lot of guys in to figure out who really should be playing, and we'll see. Maybe some continuity doesn't fully exist yet in the back end, especially in the second half. And I mean, if you're Hawaii, you made the trip, might as well chuck it around a little bit in the second half too. So, yeah, I think Vandy will score. And I think Hawaii will score enough to get us there.
Awesome. All right. And of course, nothing but love for our Doors, the team that we are all infinity'd up on for the win.
Harden got a little shade today, or he got a little spice to him.
A little chesty out there.
Yeah.
What this morning?
What was the hashtag he used? The builder, whatever. I can't remember. Anybody complaining about the construction at Vanderbilt Stadium?
Oh, I saw somebody in the chat say that Hawaii's team hotel is right next to it. Talk about home field advantage.
Make them use the porta potties.
They already have to. They already have to deal with the body clock, and they're just sitting there. Incredible. Coming up on the other side, we've only gotten about halfway through our week 0 slate in terms of the games. We talked about 3, 4 more. What are our locks for the rest of the day? Coming up next.
Get breaking news.
Big news coming out of the NFL today.
Highlights and instant reactions.
The largest final round comeback in tour championship history. We're down to the Final Four.
I just want to take time to analyze greatness.
Talk winners and losers with a guy who's already a big winner.
CBS Sports HQ. It's all sports all day long.
Back here on the Cover 3 podcast. A quick review. What we've got so far. Let's see. Is it updated? Yeah. There we go. All right. Bud Scott, USC first half -17.5, Vanderbilt first half -9.5, and Navy first quarter team total under a half a point.
Oh, and the Hawaii over the 55.
And the Vandy-Hawaii over 55. I've got the USC first half -17.5, Vanderbilt first half -9.5, and Vanderbilt team total over 37.5. Danny's got the USC first half -17.5, Vanderbilt -17.5, and Navy Notre Dame first half under 27. Tom is on Vanderbilt -17.5, Notre Dame -20.5, and San Jose State plus 32. Okay. Let's see. Tom, are we getting in on the wagon?
Maybe later.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll just go ahead and take it now. Ohio +2. There is a lot that's been made over what happened to San Diego State's offense when Jalen Maiden was, put in, and the offense had a big bump for the last 8 games of the season. He ain't the best quarterback in this game, and there might be a considerable distance between him and Curtis Rourke. We got actually the news yesterday or earlier this week. Reports indicate that even though he tore that ACL 10, 11 games into the season, he is on track, ready to go, expected to start for the Bobcats. I think we've got the better quarterback. I think we've got an absolute wagon, and I will take Ohio +2. There's any 2.5s out there, maybe.
There are.
Okay, yeah, I'll jump. I got 2.5 on Sportsline yesterday afternoon, -105. So if I can get 2.5, I'll take that as well. Probably win the game outright, but I'm going with the better quarterback and a team that has been an absolute cover machine in recent years.
Yeah, it's 2.5 at DraftKings, Caesars, and Bookmaker. So all yours.
Let's go. Anybody else getting in? You want to fight it? Somebody gonna roll with the Techs?
I liked this like a couple weeks ago, but I just not now. Like it, and this was like 6 or 7 over the summer. Now it's sitting 2. I get it.
Embrace the dark side.
I'm using restraint.
I think the listeners just bet the Hawaii over, by the way. This is why it pays to watch live, y'all. Told you. Now it's running out. We're going to 56.5.
The lines are moving. And look, I'm just a quick response to some of the chat right now. Are you concerned that Curtis Rourke is going to be rushed back in? Is he going to be limited at all? I think that we are talking about an excellent quarterback, and that, if he is cleared to play, then he is going to be better than the quarterback on the other side. So, yeah, I'm going with Rourke in this one. All right, let's go. What about on CBS Sports Network, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. FBS debut for Jacksonville State. It's the Gamecocks play host to UTEP. Does anybody have a lock?
I do.
The Gamecocks have won 11 straight home openers. Rich Rodriguez led this team to 9-2 in an Atlantic Sun championship last year. There is not a better situation for your FBS debut than to be at home on TV with an opponent that, as we can tell by a spread that was, pick 'em, currently sitting at UTEP -1, that is a winnable game for Jacksonville State. This will be the 12th consecutive win in a home opener for Jacksonville State. Give me the Gamecocks +1.
Spicy.
Lock agreement.
Yeah.
I agree with a lot of what you just said. I think that this is a good team, and we have seen in recent years teams come up from the FCS level who are in much better shape than what we used to see. Teams, they used to come up and they'd sit there and they'd take their beating for a few seasons before they were able to get up to scratch and, compete with the FBS programs. But one of the side effects of conference realignment with all these G5 teams moving up to P5 leagues and then the bottom G5 leagues having to go to the FCS level to get replacements is the bottom G5 leagues are extremely watered down. They're really not that much different than the FCS level. And I think schools like Jacksonville State and even Sam Houston coming in this year are not going to have that difficult of a time in their new conference. There will be some adjustments. I don't think they're going to show up and win the leagues. But when I look at Jacksonville State and I look at UTEP, I don't see two teams that are all that different. And I think at home for your very first FBS game, atmosphere is probably going to be pretty electric. Give me the Gamecocks +1.
And this is a conference game. This is a Cayusa doubleheader on CBS Sports Network. We'll get to the other one later, but it's a big spot. Like Rich Rodriguez is going to have a very clear understanding of the stakes of this game, and I expect they'll be ready to go.
How
Give me Latifah.
Yes.
I think this is going to be. I think it'll be a really good atmosphere. I think it's a big move. Like for these programs that are making this jump, I think they're excited. I think they're, it's almost like a Super Bowl atmosphere around the program. You're excited about the opportunity. Dana Dimmel's 5-25 straight up on the road. It is bottom 10 in the FBS. If you're talking about like the bottom 10 of FBS and the top of the FCS, like Tom was saying, I don't think there's that much of a dramatic difference. In fact, you might give the edge to the top tier FCS teams. We've seen other schools come right in and not struggle at all. James Madison comes to mind. So I think you'll see that happen with Jacksonville State. So I think they get this win outright as well.
I'm not going to fight this. I'm just look, Rich Rod scores everywhere he goes. Basically, like they always score. When he was the OC at Ole Miss, when he was the head coach at Tulane, when he was the OC at Clemson, and obviously West Virginia, and I guess Michigan, but that's probably more on Michigan than it is on him.
Drop Glenville State in there too if you want to. There
we go. But I don't know if they play any defense, man. So I want to join you guys kind of, but I'm not. I'm going to sit this one out.
Shout out to Brick in the chat for pointing out that it's 1.5 at FanDuel. So
look at that.
-1. Yeah, FanDuel is. Listen, we will accept any sponsorship with the book that.
Do we have a new sponsor yet?
We don't have. I don't want to speak above my pay grade, but it's just funny that we keep getting these wild.
Oh, Vitesh is calling. Weird.
Anyway, I'm not gonna get myself in trouble right here. All right, let's keep it moving with a look at. So we got that one. We got that one. The back end of New Mexico State-UMass, 7:00 p.m. kickoff Eastern time on ESPN. Does anybody have a lock?
I do.
All right, you go first on this one.
New Mexico State -6.
Come on.
I mean, Jerry Kill teams aren't exactly exciting to watch, but Jerry Kill teams have an identity. They're well coached and they don't beat themselves. And UMass is the worst team at the FBS level and has been the worst team at the FBS level for a while. And I think it's 3-30 in the last 3 seasons. I can't remember their road record, but it ain't great. Even against the spread, I think they've only covered 30% of the time on the road. Yeah. Give me the Aggies. As long as it's under a touchdown, I am all over it.
You think you're going to walk into Aggie Memorial Stadium with your cute little musket and go up against Jerry Kill, who just got a full bicep tattoo to honor the 7-6 season that he just led New Mexico State to. The mere presence of his leadership and that coaching staff took the number 127 to 130, depending on your rating, program in the FBS and jumped them up into being a bowl team. These are not the same. They are a tier apart, and that tier is a touchdown. This is preposterous and disrespectful to Mr. Jerry Kill that this is under a touchdown. We lay the points with New Mexico State.
Man, this is the team that I've struggled with a lot this offseason. So their power rating last year, Connolly had them finishing as like a -19, -20, whatever. I think they're better than last year, but also their power rating jumped like crazy when they beat the hell out of that Liberty team that clearly had quit that day because they realized Hugh Freeze was leaving. So I'm struggling with what to make them from a power rating standpoint. Are they better than last year? Yes, but I don't know if I really believe that they were actually a 19. If you take the Liberty game out, then they're definitely not a 19 from last year. Maybe you jump them up to a number that's basically just equal to what they, ended last year, to get really nerdy here. But also, should you remove the entire Liberty game? You can kind of go and do this with every team, and then you're losing data point. I'm just going to sit this one out.
It's you.
Give me Latifa.
Yeah.
Come on. UMass has been so bad.
Yes.
They've lost. I got your stats for you. They lost 24 straight road games. They're 8-16 against the spread in that span. Their win total in the season set at 2. It is juice to the over, so you got to pay up to take the over. But I'm with you guys. Jerry Kill returns 9 offensive starters. I hammer this one.
Let's go. I also, we had our Pac-12 network jokes earlier. Because this is on big ESPN, it means that this is the one that's going to be on in sports bars across America. Oh, college football's on. And like you mentioned,
who
Tom,
the hell are these teams?
Problem Gamblers Hotline.
And like you mentioned, Tom, the aesthetics here, all we want is the wins, right? But the aesthetics here are going to be fantastic of New Mexico State and UMass.
Can we talk about the weather here, by the way?
What are we looking at?
It's got to be what time's this kick?
I mean, it's going to be 100 degrees, right?
It's a 7 o'clock Eastern kick. And that's their mountain time, right?
Yeah.
They're not Pacific. So 5 o'clock, it's got to be mid 90s, upper 90s.
That ain't nothing.
But if you live up in the Cape, it is. I don't know where UMass is located.
It's true. You're not able to train for that.
Where's UMass? What city?
Amherst.
Amherst. Okay, yeah. All right.
After spending summers in New England, anywhere up there, you will not be able to prep for the heat.
Well, Tom thinks it's 88 at kick.
No, it's 88 here right now. I'm saying we're in the heat dome. So UMass is getting prepared for right now. They're outside practicing in the heat dome.
Well, it's been really hot, and I think that's been good for us because we've had to work on our mental toughness. Nick Saban's been enjoying the weather dome, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Get him tough. All right, so that leaves us with the back end of the Cayusa conference game doubleheader. Now we will go to Ruston, Louisiana, where Louisiana Tech will be hosting FIU. Anybody got to play on this one?
I do.
Go for it. Go ahead, bud.
All right. So FIU last year, pretty bad team, but somewhat improved. I do think that they have a quality coaching staff, but they don't have their top running back. They don't have their top reserve running back. Their best receiver, Chambers, is starting at Maryland. Their best tight end, Fairweather, is starting at Auburn. Their number one tackle is, I believe, starting at Houston, and their other number one tackle before he got dinged last year is Florida's top reserve. Their top safety from last year is starting for Tom's Illini, I believe. That was already a bottom 5 team in the country, and I just rattled off 5 like Power 5 starters of teams that we think are probably bowl teams, if not better. That's a lot. I think this is a big game for La Tech. I know they're hosting a lot of recruits. They actually have Hank Bachmeier, who's the new starter there, by the way. Remember him from Boise?
Mm-hmm.
His brother, Bear Bachmeier, is going to be a visitor as well, 4-star quarterback. I don't know if in the last time La Tech had a 4-star quarterback visit, but I'm guessing it's not super often. I'm going to go ahead and lay the 6.5 in the first half here with La Tech and just bank on, like, Bachmeier having played college football before, having played a lot of it. The offensive line returns for the most part intact for La Tech. I just think they'll be able to move the football, and it wouldn't shock me with all that FIU lost, who beat them in triple overtime last year when La Tech was starting a third stringer and relied heavily on those guys I just mentioned to do so. I think they're going to come out just looking a little better than FIU will. So give me the 6.5 first half. I'll lay it.
Mine is a numbers play. I talked about earlier that, I wonder how totals are going to play. Like, I haven't played a total yet because I'm mostly waiting to see some results based on the clock rules and what changes. But I have to take the over in this game, and I know, like, it's kind of an upset that I'm taking an over before I take an under on the lock spot this year, but my numbers tell me this game's going to get into the 60s pretty easily. So when I'm seeing it at 58.5 is where I can get it right now, I have to go over. And plus, these two teams, like, this isn't part of the reason for the pick, but it doesn't hurt my confidence. In the last decade, no team has had gone over more often than FIU, and La Tech is the 5th, like at 58%, and FIU's at like 59.3%. So again, it's not part of the pick, but it doesn't hurt the confidence. These two teams just don't typically play a lot of defense when they're playing. So over 58.5.
Year 2, Sonny Cumbie offense should be humming, man. Like, that's a fair, that's a really like fair position to take, especially when you've got a competent quarterback. Danny, do you have anything here? I'm all tapped out.
I'm tapped out.
Yeah. All right. Well, 2. Oh, do you want to let's review and then we'll do sprinkles. 2 review. Bud is on. Let's see. Come on. There we go. USC first half minus 17.5. Vanderbilt first half minus 9.5. Navy first quarter team total under 0.5 point. Hawaii, Vanderbilt over 55. Louisiana Tech first half minus 6.5. I've got New Mexico State minus 6, Jacksonville State plus 1.5, USC first half minus 17.5, Vanderbilt first half minus 9.5, Vanderbilt team total over 37.5, Ohio plus 2.5. Danny's got New Mexico State minus 6, Jacksonville State plus 1.5, USC first half minus 17.5, Vanderbilt minus 17.5, and then Navy Notre Dame first half under 27. Tom is on. New Mexico State minus 6, Jacksonville State plus 1.5, Vanderbilt minus 17.5, Notre Dame minus 20.5, San Jose State plus 32, FIU, Louisiana Tech over 58.5. That is UNITY on New Mexico State minus 6, Jacksonville State plus 1.5, and the USC first half. Lock agreements include Vanderbilt first half minus 9.5, and then Vanderbilt full game minus 17.5. Woo! All right, now time to take it to the money line sprinkles. Tom, you said you've got something locked and loaded. Why don't you go ahead and get us started?
I mean, I'm wearing the shirt for a reason. This is the team that was so good to me last year that covered, I think it was 9 straight weeks. The market just never caught on. I just kept banging them and making money. Ohio is a wagon. Ohio is going to beat San Diego State to start week 0. Curtis Rourke is a god. Give me Ohio plus 120.
All right. Throw me down for Ohio plus 120 as well. All right. What else, Bud?
Ditto. Yeah. We have to pick a sprinkle each week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
don't sit it out. Yeah.
No, like in a normal week. I'm not going to bet 70% first half plays. Like, I'll probably throw a couple in, but like, this is a weird week. So yeah, give me Ohio. I think Ohio can go in and win the ball game. I think Rourke's a stud, and I think they're well coached. So
give me Jacksonville State.
All right, cool.
It's horrible. It's like minus 105, isn't it? Though I mean,
there's got to be a 100. I'll find you 100 just so we can put it on the sheet so the chat doesn't complain. All right.
I mean, nobody's jumping out. It is a sprinkle, but if you want to jump out the gate with a "wouldn't it be hilarious" Navy, I'm just saying that, and this is way too basic, which is why you would wait till the 56th minute to make the joke. But like, don't bet against Notre Dame and Ireland.
Yeah, I got you. I got you a plus 100, Danny.
Okay.
If Chad has complaints, it's in a faraway book. If Chad has complaints, you can email Eric K.
All right. So for our money line sprinkles, we got 3 on Ohio, 1 on Jacksonville State. That's about as much damage as we can do for week 0. We will be back on Saturday. Time TBD. So make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you hit the bell for notifications. We are going to link up, even if it's only for 20, 30 minutes, recap as much as we've got from the day that was our first instant reaction podcast of the day. Once we get going, like week 1, we'll be back at our 11:30 p.m. Eastern time slot. I don't know if we're going to wait all the way until 11:30 on this one. Is that okay, guys? Not the show plan here, but if we feel like it's time to go, it's time to go. If Caleb Williams is on the sideline, then it's go time. Then Tom gets to sweat out his San Jose State plus 32 live on the air.
It won't be a sweat.
So come hang out with us, youtube.com/cover3, subscribe, hit the notifications. Also might have something coming for you here in the near future for you subscribers. You can follow him on Twitter at BudElliott3. You can follow him at Danny Cannell. You can follow him at Tom Fernelli. You can follow me at Chip_Patterson. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
See ya.